Hello? Oh. Hello? Okay. Hello, once again, my name is Chisholm Wakma, and I am the Family Session Executive for Summer Preview. Our next presentation is College, a game of Chutes and Ladders. This presentation will cover obstacles that your student might face and how to be successful within their college experience. I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Wayne Young, the Associate Vice Provost for Student Development, who will be our MC for this event.
Thank you, Chisholm. Well, good afternoon and howdy. All right, so one of the things, some of these people know down here, but anytime I speak to students, faculty, staff, parents, whoever it might be, I've got this little annoying tradition that picked up somewhere in grad school down at Texas A&M or something like that. And say howdy, and then I like to get it back. So let's try kind of a Blue Jay Nation howdy here. Let's go, howdy. All right, that's excellent. All right, well, welcome. Again, my name is Wayne Young, and I'm going to be your kind of MC and leader of this session today. And I'll get into a little bit about what this session's about in just a second, but first, maybe a little bit about me here. I'm a Creighton grad myself, a little bit ago now. I happen to be a Creighton dad now. My daughter just graduated this past May, is going to go down and work in the Institute for a Latin American Concern this summer and then go do Jesuit Volunteer Corps. But I'm also the parent of an incoming freshman, Brad Young. So especially the students right now in the class of 2023, we're going to collectively make fun of Brad for the next 4 years. It is going to be awesome. I may even tweet something out. I don't know, but it's going to get really rough for Brad, okay? Again, that was Brad Young. We all got that? Okay, good. I mean, if there's one thing we want to leave this session today, right, it'd be we're going to tease Brad Young. Okay. He's going to kill me, but it's going to be great. Okay. But no, seriously, my role here at Creighton, as you heard, I work in student life. So ever since I left Creighton, my professional career has been working in a field called student affairs. So a lot of these outside of class activities that help college students, undergrad, grad, and professional, grow and develop. And it is my vocation, it's my love. I love the cycle of meeting that new student in August who's a superstar. I kind of rue the day in May, 4 years later, when they graduate and go do good things, because it's a little bit sad, but it's just a wonderful job, wonderful job. For all of you out there today, we're on the cusp of some important developmental journeys. For new students, that chance to go off to college and do something new at Creighton and write a new chapter. For parents like myself, college parents, whether this is number 1 or number 7, these are developmental milestones in our lives too. These are changes. We're watching our young men and our young women become emerging adults and go and do great things. And letting go, letting them figure out how to navigate their own problems, learning resilience, that's a developmental step for us as well. So our goal here today with Chutes and Ladders in many ways is to kind of define some of that here today as best we can, especially for the class of 2023, and to really try to name some of those pieces. So as we kind of walk through this here today, in a second I'm going to talk about some of our learning outcomes. Then in a little bit here, we're going to bring up an expert panel and have some scenarios and ask them to give us some information. And then we end the session somewhat creatively with a text number where you can text an anonymous question on some of the topics we're talking about today. And then we make it transactional and because we think it's a good way to launch that discussion between parents and students. So in terms of learning outcomes here today, and I won't read all of these to you, but there's 2 I really would like to focus on. First of all, this idea that at college, that it's supposed to be an easy transition. And if anything, hopefully you're going to hear today, is that the transition is hard and it's hard in different ways, but that hard is normal. And that there's a lot of support, a lot of resources here at Creighton to really help that process. 2, in a few seconds here, we're going to name some of these issues that happen during the college years. things like depression, anxiety, sexual assault, sexual violence, eating disorders. And especially maybe right now, I'm talking to the class of 2023. Some of you might say, well, that's not going to be my experience, Dr. Young. That's not going to happen to me. And if that's the case, that's great. What I invite you then to do is to kind of listen through a lens of being a good bystander, a good peer, a good roommate, a good girlfriend, a good boyfriend, of being that person who can maybe support and accompany someone else. If you can listen through that lens, I think you'll find that there's quite a bit of good information here today for you as well. All right, so we call this session Chutes and Ladders, right? This is kind of an iconic game in many ways. You do the spinner, right, and you count it out, and sometimes you take a couple steps forward and you go down, and sometimes you take a couple steps forward and boom, you're up the ladder. So we really did our research on this game to really bring it full tilt here for our program. So first of all, you got to go back to the retro game, right? We've got kids, having a good time. Some of you are even smiling, looking up at it because you've played this game, right? You see some of the kids, they're climbing up that ladder. They're ready to go. There's a dude on that ladder. You see, he just went head first. He's like, well, if I'm going to go down, might as well go down hard. So, he just zipped it right. Other people, they're going down. Notice how they're enjoying the ride. They're enjoying the ride, up or down, that it is part of the ride, right? We continue to do our homework. Believe it or not, there's a little pony, My Little Pony Chutes and Ladders out there. This unicorn shooting rainbows out its butt or something. I don't really understand that piece. But you've got My Little Pony. That's fascinating. Anybody brave enough to say that they have the Minecraft Chutes and Ladders out there? I knew there. Okay. You all have the matching set? Okay, that's great. All right, that's all right. And then, of course, in this day and age, you have to have the Avengers, right? You have to have the Avengers Chutes and Ladders. Not that we're in the end game here, but okay, I'll leave that joke alone. Okay. So, what are we talking about today? As I kind of take a hard right here, we want to name some of these issues, some of these perceived barriers, some of these things that do make the transition harder at times throughout the college experience. We want to name those so that when we get to the expert panel in some of those situations, or even your questions, we can have a real discussion about that transition to college. So bear with me here as I kind of present some of those topics here for us today. 1 in 5 children between the ages of 13 to 18 live with a mental health condition, and we've sourced each of these as you'll see on the slide. 1 in 4 college students were diagnosed with or treated for anxiety during their college years. Approximately 43.8 million Americans ages 18 and older, so roughly about 1 in 5, suffer from a diagnosable mental disorder in a given year. 25% of college students report academic consequences related to alcohol. And even a perhaps harder statistic, over 1,800 college students die each year from alcohol-related injuries. 1 in 5 female students and 1 in 20 male students experience sexual assault while living on or near campus at a 4-year college or university. 10% of students who've been in a relationship while attending school experience reporting some form of dating violence. Eating disorders will affect 20 million women and 10 million men in America at some point in their lives. 86.4% of college students have feelings of being overwhelmed. 50% have been so anxious they've struggled in their coursework in school. 40% do not seek help. Here at Creighton, a little bit more localized, 33% of students use academic tutoring and support through the Edge Academic Success, which you're going to hear a little bit more from here today. Greater than 30% of our students have used the resources in student counseling, and we have an expert from that area today to speak with us. And maybe somewhat funny, but it kind of makes that reasonable sense argument here. 100% of students who don't ask for help don't get the help. And so part of this session is also planting the seed for it's okay to ask that question. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to go and receive help. That's part of actually establishing a good competency for your adult life and work world. So let's talk a little bit more about these topics and others with our expert panel. So I'm now going to invite our expert panel up. They're going to sit to my left, your right here. And once they're seated, I'm going to ask each of them to introduce themselves a little bit and where they work. And then once we're done with introductions, I'm going to read little snippets of some scenarios, and we're going to ask them to respond to those. And then we'll get to the transactional piece with your questions via text. But first, we're going to start with introductions. And can I start with Dr. Hacker?
Hi, my name's Nate Hacker. I'm the Director and Medical Director of Health Education and Compliance Office. I also will be seeing patients at CHI Health and the Student Care Clinic down the street. I've been at Creighton for about 6 years. I received my undergraduate degree here in psychology and stayed around for medical school.
Hello, I am, that's loud, Randy Bibbins-Clark. I'm the Associate Director of Academic Success in the Creighton Edge. I've also been around for about 6 years. Nate and I started at the same time. We do a lot, well, we'll talk later about what exactly we do.
I'm Jennifer Peter. I am the Director for our Student Counseling Services and a licensed psychologist. I've been with Creighton for about 2 years, and while I am not a Creighton grad, I married a Creighton grad, so I feel like I've been here forever.
And I'm Allison Taylor. I am the Executive Director in our Office of Equity and Inclusion, so I also serve as our Campus Title IX Coordinator, and I have been here for 14 years, which is adding together all of their years when I just heard that, so just fun fact.
And good at math, too, apparently. All right.
That was quick math.
All right, so we're going to get into some scenarios here and ask our expert panelists to give us some framing. Again, in the back of your heads, maybe be thinking about those questions you'll want to text in, and I'll put the number back up here when we get to that section. So our first little snippet here, how do I know how to handle health insurance, make sure I'm compliant with immunizations, and just stay up to date on wellness? Can you help us on that, Nate?
Yes, I can. So in our health education and compliance office, we have individuals that specialize in this area. We have Angela Maynard, a registered nurse who works on health education programming around campus. She also manages our student insurance plan. We sponsor our own insurance plan, so many of the students will maybe remain on a parent's plan, but if you're looking for a different plan, I would recommend you look into our plan. It's a cost-effective plan that has great coverage in the area. All full-time students are required to have health insurance that covers them in Omaha, Nebraska for inpatient and outpatient medical and mental health care. In that same office, we also have a registered nurse who monitors compliance, immunization compliance. So thank you everyone in the room who has been working through the birdhouse to enter your immunization data. Our office verifies that data to ensure that everybody meets university requirements.
Excellent, thank you. And I think we're 100% as of today with this group, right? Excellent job.
Good
nice job, everyone. All right. All right, maybe Nate, one more. Let me throw another curveball at you here. It's the middle of the night. I called Mom earlier. My stomach just still feels horrible, and I think I'm going to be sick. What do we do in that situation here at Creighton?
So first of all, you maybe didn't need to call Mom. It's okay if you want to call Mom, but Mom might not be real happy if you woke her up at 2 in the morning. So If you would rather not call mom, or maybe you call mom and mom says, I don't know what to do, call somebody there. I'm a long ways away. We have 4 health aides on campus. It's a very unique program that you won't find at many schools. So they're undergraduate students that serve basically as first responders to any kind of on-campus emergency type situation. So if you need to get a hold of a health aide, you contact public safety. Public safety officer will be dispatched to a residence hall with a health aide. The health aide is trained by our office to do an initial assessment, take vital signs, take a medical history, and gather the basics. And then we have a medical provider on call after hours every day, every night, who will communicate with a health aide and come up with a plan of care. So usually it's one of 3 options. It's usually, this probably isn't a huge deal. Here's some Tylenol, here's some ibuprofen. This will get you through the night. Schedule an appointment tomorrow at the student care clinic. If it's still maybe evening time, an urgent care center may be open, or the student care clinic may still be open, so that would be an option. And then if it's truly an emergency, the health aide and public safety will make sure that the student is taken to the emergency department. So great resource on campus that really, I think, provides some reassurance to parents knowing that there's 24-hour care available.
Excellent. Thank you very much. All right, our next snippet here. I've always had really good grades, but I'm doing the same studying, same planning as I did in high school, and it's not working. I don't know if it's too hard or if I'm just not studying enough. Help! Randy, can you give us some help on that front?
Absolutely. So in academic success, we have resources available to help with this problem, which is a pretty common experience for freshman students, sophomore students, whatever. We have a very robust tutoring program, about 6,500 visits to tutoring last year, covered over 120 subjects. We have group tutoring as well as one-on-one tutoring, and all of these resources are free to students. Our one-on-one tutoring is appointment-based, so you can make an appointment to meet with a tutor who's there to work with you specifically on whatever subject matter it is. You can do that 1 hour per week per subject, up to 3 hours a week for the entire semester if you wanted. We also have multiple group tutoring options. So every Sunday through Thursday night, we have 4 tutors available for chemistry, biology, and math courses. And again, that's an unlimited resource, so students can come in starting the very first Monday of classes. You can camp out in there for 3 hours and do your homework and ask questions when you need it. You can pop in and out for 5 minutes and ask questions as you need them. And then we have a higher level of tutoring, attached tutoring and supplemental instruction. And in those instances, we have tutors who are actually attending classes with you all semester, and then they hold 2 study sessions per week for students who are working in a particular faculty members' sections. So we also have academic coaching, where we have professional academic coaches who work one-on-one with students. If you're feeling like maybe the content is okay, but you're trying to figure out how to schedule things out, how to manage your time, how to communicate with professors. If you maybe just feel like you're doing the things that you should be doing, but you're not getting the results you want, we sit down and work with students individually to go through those things. Again, that's an unlimited and free resource. Sometimes students come in one time. Sometimes they come in all semester. It just kind of depends. One more resource that we have are academic success peer mentors, and those are academic experts who are housed in each freshman residence hall, and they have standing office hours all throughout the semester. So that's a great place to start if that's someone who's right there in your home, basically, who knows about the many resources that are available, can kind of answer some questions. They're junior and senior students who are there really to help get you the help that you need as that first stop. What's really great about our services is that you don't have to be failing classes, you don't have to be referred by a teacher or anything like that. Any student can come in and use these services. So we have students who are getting A's and B's in their courses using tutoring. We have students who are getting F's and D's in their courses, and they need those resources. So it's really a comprehensive service for all students, and we encourage students to use it early.
And that especially Randy's work with the academic success peer mentors, that's a pretty unique feature amongst colleges and universities, and there's one in each freshman residence hall. So I'm glad you highlighted that. That's a great resource here at Creighton. Thank you. All right. New snippet here. I think I may have been sexually assaulted last weekend. I don't want anyone to know, especially my parents, but I need to talk to someone. Allison, can you talk to us a little bit about how that unfolds here at Creighton, how we support that?
Yeah, I would be happy to. And I just wanted to point out really quick, because I did see a couple hands raised earlier, that we are going to give time at the end here for texting questions in, so you will get an opportunity, I promise. But in terms of the question, if someone was sexually assaulted, we actually have a really great resource here on campus. It's called the Violence Intervention and Prevention Center, or VIP Center for short, because we know that a lot of times if an incident happens, the first question is, what do I do? And I don't know what that next step is. I don't know my options or where to go or who to talk to. And the VIP Center is there to help. So we employ 2 full-time confidential advocates in our center, and they spend their time doing direct services with individuals as well as doing really great programs and training on campus. So in terms of going to the VIP Center, individuals can go if something maybe has happened directly to you or it's happened to a friend or a roommate. Because as Dr. Young said at the beginning, sometimes we're thinking about this as, gosh, I don't know if this would happen to me, but what if this happens to my roommate? My roommate comes to me and I don't know what to do. I could go to the VIP Center and find out, what can I tell my friend? How can I help them? What is the next step? So what we do a lot of is talking about options, because we know after someone's been through a traumatic event, they maybe want to hear about what they can do. We don't want to make that choice for them, but we're going to help them every step of the way. So we're going to talk about medical options. We're going to talk about reporting options. We have reporting options here on campus through the Office of Equity and Inclusion, and that is a formal investigative process where we do have a whole process where it's fair, it's equitable. We're going to give both parties the opportunity to present evidence and witnesses and whatnot. So we have that process, and we'll explain what that means. We also can help people report to police if people want to go that route. We can help with academic accommodations. We can help with housing accommodations, whatever that might be to help somebody heal after that incident. We also do a lot of programming, as I said. So one of the things you'll see on campus this fall is we talk a lot about being an active bystander, and we have the Green Dot program. So if anyone's familiar with that, we talk about what it means when you see something or you know about something happening, how do you intervene as a bystander, and giving you options and ways to do that in a way that feels safe for you, but to not ignore a situation, because we're a community that if you see something, we want you to say something. We want you to let us know about that. We also have really great ways to report things to us so that we can help people. You'll hear a little bit more about, but we have this really great resource called the Tell Someone report, where you're able to log online and just fill out a form, and that comes into us. And it might be, hey, I'm worried about my friend and something bad happened to them, but they're not seeking resources and I think someone needs to talk to them. We'll do that. That's a great way to get that person help. So lots of really good options here on campus. We know that can be kind of a scary unknown, but we are here to help in the VIP Center.
And we're really lucky to have Allison and her team here at Creighton. They do just a tremendous job with some pretty tough situations, so just thank you for that information. And last here, I'm so anxious. College is a lot harder than I thought it would be, but it just seems like everyone else is doing just fine. What's wrong with me? And what if I'm 18 years old? How does that affect it? Dr. Peter, can you shed some light on what we do there with counseling, Jennifer?
So I will answer the 18-year-old question first. So for those of you that aren't from Nebraska, may not know, and I think some who even live here don't know, that the age of majority in Nebraska is 19. So for most of you freshmen coming in as 18-year-olds, you're still considered minors in Nebraska. So we have, when you're seeking mental health treatment or health care, you need consent from parents. So we have a couple options in our office. You can, while you're here, you can have parents sign consent to treat, so it's ready to go. We also have powers of attorney and a notary downstairs in our office. So she'll be gone now, but tomorrow you can stop in the office and have her sign one of those so that you as 18-year-olds, if your parents are okay with it, can make some of those decisions on your own regarding your health care. Because what we find is a lot of times, especially with 18-year-olds, and seriously, we have no idea why this is. It's us and Alabama, I think, that are the only states left with this rule. But a lot of times you don't feel comfortable asking parents because you don't really want them to know that you may be going to try to see a counselor. You don't want to let them know that you're struggling and you want to kind of handle it on your own. So that power of attorney, if parents are willing to sign that so your student can make the decision on their own, is a really good way to remove that barrier for them. So just putting that out there. So as far as, everyone else looks like they're doing great and not struggling and figuring all this out, no, that's not happening. Everybody is struggling in some way. So while it may seem like, because we're used to the pretty perfect Instagram and Snapchat posts and everyone's having a great time and I'm doing great, not reality in those situations and in going to college. So there will be struggles and it'll be difficult and it'll feel hard. So being okay with asking for help and parents kind of listening for that. Asking questions if you're struggling, seeing your roommate maybe not going out or wanting to stay by themselves, not going to class, those kinds of things. So just being aware that anxiety and some adjustment difficulties, some homesickness, conflicts with people, trying to figure out how to do this on your own is difficult and it's not always comfortable. So never feeling like it's just you, because it's not just you. So I would recommend, if you're struggling, come and ask us for help. We can very easily just kind of talk through some problem-solving strategies or how to cope with the changes or, how do you have difficult conversations with people. So please reach out to us to help for that and reach out early.
Excellent. Thank you, Jennifer. All right, so now in our last piece of this presentation, we like to kind of make a transactional piece here. So hopefully from the statistics to some of these scenarios, hopefully we've kicked up some ideas and some questions that you might have. And we've set this up such that you can text it anonymously. So if there's a question you want to ask and mom and dad are right nearby, or likewise, if mom or dad have a question and students right by, you can go ahead and ask it and no one will know. But it lets us have a little bit more transactional discussion with all of you here. So I'm going to kind of take a look here. Oh, and I already have a couple. All right. First of all, there's a question about, is there a place to pick up medications and is counseling free? Can I throw that to Nate and Jennifer to talk about each of those?
Medications, yes. There's a pharmacy on campus, Creighton Pharmacy, at 24th and Cumming within the CHI Health building. So that's in the same building as the Student Care Clinic. Fantastic pharmacy, great prices. So I would encourage you, if you have prescriptions that you're going to need to transfer here, start thinking about that now. And you can contact your pharmacy, contact the Creighton Pharmacy to have those transferred before you arrive on campus. They also have a lot of over-the-counter meds, which is nice. Prices are good on those as well. So when you get a cold, sinus infection, they've got Sudafed, Claritin, all that good stuff.
And counseling sessions are free. It's a completely university-supported service. The only exceptions, we do have a psychiatrist in office, and her services are billed through insurance. And the medications related to that would be through insurance. And then we also offer psychological evaluations for things like if you have a question about attention deficit disorder or a learning disability, we do offer those services, but we have a small charge that goes along with those because it requires a lot more of our man hours. However, our charges are still significantly lower than what you would find with a psychologist in the community.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, 2 or 3 questions around tutoring. One question was, can I go every day? And there was another question about, is it one of those things where I call or I email and then have to wait 2 weeks to start? Can maybe fill in a little bit more on that?
Sure. Tutoring, you can go every day, so it kind of depends on what you're looking for. So again, we have every Sunday through Thursday, we'll have group tutoring in chemistry, math, and biology. And then we have one-on-one tutoring available for almost all other subjects that freshmen take. That's available by appointment. And most of the time, no, you do not have to, there's not a long wait. It's a computerized system. You go, you log in. Our website is success.creighton.edu. You click in and you log in with your blue password and your net ID, and then it'll ask you what it knows your course is. So you click on the course, and then you'll see a list of available tutors. And almost always you can get an appointment within the next couple of days. Most of the time you don't have to wait. You're not even allowed to make a tutoring appointment more than 7 days in advance. And most of the time students don't have to wait. So it's not a long-term thing. It's something that you can take control of, get on the internet, make an appointment, and find something that works with your schedule. We also have resources online for using the Writing Center and using our Communication Center, which is basically tutoring for speeches. So most of you will be taking speech at some time or a critical issues course with a speech component at some point during your freshman year, and there's tutoring available for that specifically as well. Did that answer all of that?
I think that's great. That's perfect. Question came in, really important one here. What do I normally get at Taco Bell? I really like the grilled stuffed chicken burrito. I got to be honest. That thing, you get one of those, you're good. You're good. With a couple fire packets, maybe, I don't know if I'm getting crazy. Okay. The questions I get sometimes during this session, as you can only imagine. Okay, there's a really good question here. I keep hearing this thing, Title IX. What is that? Allison, can you help shed some light on what Title IX is?
Yes, good question. So Title IX is actually a civil rights law. It stems back to 1972. And Title IX says that individuals, basically it prohibits discrimination on the basis of sex in any educational programs, anyone who's receiving federal financial assistance. So pretty much almost every university, there's some kind of federal financial aid that's going to be available to students, which means that colleges must follow this. So Title IX really has an interpretation that it would be prohibiting sexual harassment, sexual assault, pregnancy discrimination, basically any kind of discrimination on the basis of sex. And that's really what's rolled into our university policy, where we're covering that as a discrimination factor. So we have a policy that's called harassment, discrimination, sexual and relationship misconduct, which encompasses all of that. But really, in short, that is what Title IX is all about.
Excellent, thank you. Question here as well. Student mentioned that they have had an eating disorder previously and they're now in recovery. Do we help support that student here at Creighton? How might that look as a student comes and starts at Creighton?
Yes, we do. One of our psychologists has some expertise in eating disorders. I would say if you're worried about relapse or just the stress of coming to college, causing some struggles with that, call me early so we can get you set up with services. We are limited in the level of care that we can provide, but we have a lot of good resources within the community. So if symptoms were to escalate again, we could absolutely help to get to where you need to be as far as treatment.
Okay, thank you very much. A question about accepting outside insurance for health care, and where exactly is the student care clinic now that that's going to be a resource for students, one of the parents asked.
So the student care clinic is moving. It'll be in a new location. It's an existing building, a CHI building at 24th and Cummings, so it's a couple blocks from this location on the north side of campus. Within that building, they have a freestanding emergency department, the pharmacy, physical therapy, occupational therapy, and then the medical clinics. So it's a state-of-the-art facility with lots of bells and whistles. In terms of insurance coverage, I always recommend that you check with your insurance company first to see if CHI Health is in network. The clinic over there is owned and operated by CHI Health, so I would check first to make sure that you've got coverage there. If you do, then they should accept that, and that would be a great place to go.
Thank you, thank you.
Wayne, can I add something
please.
real quick?
Please.
Kind of reminded with the eating disorder question that if you do have any kind of pre-existing mental health condition, something that you've been treated for, are being treated for with counseling, medication, please know that going to college is not the time to see if you can do it on your own. Please don't stop taking your medication to see, hey, I can manage this, because no, now's not the time. I'd say, if that's something you're considering doing, let's do that together, and try to, make sure you got what you need first before you try those things.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay. Really good questions. A number of these I'm going to have to text back, or even ask the panelists to follow up a little bit. Maybe 2 questions here, Allison. First, a question about, there's a student out there who was sexually assaulted in high school and going through court proceedings. How could Creighton help accommodate and support me? And then a secondary question from a parent about, if my student was sexually assaulted, would I be notified?
Good questions. So I think first, if you have a previous experience, the VIP center that I talked about earlier, definitely available to you. You could even stop in there tomorrow when you're around campus and meet Meredith. She is our advocate who's here over the summer. And if not, you're also welcome to email vipcenter@creighton.edu, maybe just even to introduce yourself and start that conversation, start that relationship, because we're happy to support. We do a lot of work with the community and with community partners, so certainly very familiar with court proceedings, very familiar with just outside action. So we're happy to help and offer support, and if we need additional support, like, hey, there's a court case going on, so therefore, missing classes, or that's really affecting me in a certain way, we can help with those accommodations. In terms of notification for sexual assault, that's not necessarily something that we would immediately call about, because again, when I go back to what I had said earlier about presenting options and wanting to make sure we're putting that person in the driver's seat, if we have a student who comes into the VIP center seeking services confidentially and saying, I just want to know what my next step is, and as that prompt on the screen had said earlier, I don't want anyone to know, and I'm really nervous to tell my parents, us calling and letting you know about that right away before your student's ready for you to know about that can actually cause a lot of harm. So we're going to talk about that with the student. We're going to offer that certainly as an option. Now, the one exception would be if there's truly a medical emergency or we feel like it is an emergency, we would make that call. But as much as possible, we want to put that back to your student to say, hey, we want to support you and help you on this journey. So let's talk about what that looks like with you talking to your parents.
Great, and just since you already had the microphone up, maybe just one follow-up. A parent just said, so is Green Dot a sexual assault prevention program? Could you just talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, so Green Dot, it's our campus violence prevention program. So it really focuses primarily on bystander intervention and how to recognize warning signs. So the program really goes through, how do you recognize concerns that you're seeing, whether that's in other students on campus, your friends, your roommates? How do you identify warning signs of stalking, of dating violence, of possible sexual assault, and what can you do to intervene in those situations? So we walk through a lot of scenarios, and we have really great discussions. We do a lot of practice time with this, where we're talking about how you can directly intervene, how you could maybe delegate and get somebody else involved, whether that is a friend, whether that is public safety, or how you could even create a distraction where maybe you're getting somebody out of a situation. You're out at a party somewhere and you're nervous because you think someone maybe had a lot to drink, and you're thinking, gosh, I got to get them home, and I don't want them to be in this situation that I don't think is safe right now. How do you maybe get them out of there without creating a big scene and making you uncomfortable, but still helping that friend?
Excellent. All right, a question about tutoring here, and what if I want to get a job tutoring? Is that possible as well?
Yes, absolutely. So we have our tutoring program as a peer tutoring program. So students who want to be tutors, you have to have had an A or a B plus in the course that you plan to tutor. So it's very specific. We don't have like just subject area students or just a student who's a tutor in everything. We go course by course. So you have to have an A or B plus in the course, which means you have to have taken the course, which means most of our tutors are sophomores and above. You also have to have an endorsement from a faculty member who taught you in that course. And then we have our program is certified by the National Reading and Learning Association, so all of our tutors go through at least 10 hours of training during their first year, and then additional training in addition to that. One of the things that we look for the most in tutors, first of all, we love hiring tutors who have used tutoring before. And then people who are really accessible and friendly. We try to create a really collegial environment, so that when a student is going into tutoring, you know that this is a place that you're learning together with your peers rather than a very authoritative, some people are the experts and other people are not. So just kind of thinking about that, we would love to have you, particularly if you ever want to be a math tutor. You can give me your number right now and I will call you next year. Talk to me after this.
Can you join me in giving them a round of applause? Thank you, panelists. Okay. And to round out our presentation today, I have the honor of introducing Ms. Judy Pritza. She's the director of our parent and family programs here at Creighton University. I'm going to bring her up to just provide a couple words of welcome as well. Judy?
All right. Hi there. Well, thank you, Wayne. A little bit about me. I've seen a lot of you today. I'm always the person in blue, kind of standing around seeing if anybody needs directions and helping and asking you all good questions where you're from. Welcome to Creighton. So for those of you I haven't met yet, I look forward to meeting you after this. I'm a Creighton graduate of 1990-something, back in the College of Nursing, and then came back and did my master's as well and was a nurse practitioner for many years, and have always really been with the university. I had the opportunity to come back and be the director of the parent program, that I'm now a parent and have students at Creighton University, also as a freshman coming in. And so I know what you're going through, parents. I've been there, I'm in it, and it's a great place. Thank you so much for sharing your greatest treasures with Creighton. They will be in very good hands. The panel that was here before you is fabulous. Please utilize their resources if you need them. And all the other fabulous things you've heard today geared toward your students. So I'm happy to say I have something geared toward the parents right now. Our parent program started about 4 years ago, and our mission is to engage parents in the university in whatever form you want to be in. We like goodwill ambassadors. We like people to come to all the athletic alumni, parent and friend events. Now that you're a parent, you are a part of the Creighton family. So you will be getting emails to all of our invitations to different events wherever you are located across the country. So please come. It's a great way to visit other parents, other alumni, other people in your area. We also will be at probably 9 to 12 different presidential events with Father Hendrickson across the country. You'll all be invited to those if they're nearby. So another great way to learn more about the university and to meet Father Hendrickson, our president. 3 things that the parent program does. We work on events that I talked about. We also do communication. So tomorrow, when there's that exhibit fair out in the atrium, we have a table. I want you all to stop by and sign up for the parent newsletter, something that goes out to the parents just about every month of the academic year. I don't think we send it out in December or May. But it's a great way to get little updates, what's going on in the university. Father Hendrickson writes a nice little note, and most everything there is geared toward parents and maybe certain things you need to know about what's going on for your students. We also do an advisory board made up of parents. It's a philanthropic advisory board. I'm happy to talk to anybody if anybody has any interest in knowing more about that. So up on your screen here, and I've kind of been telling everybody today, one of the things that you're all focused in on right now are the send-off parties. We will be doing, looks like about 16, so I've got a very busy travel schedule in front of me over about 3 weeks. We will be doing all these send-off parties across the country where we have large pockets of freshmen. The idea is we invite all the freshmen from the class of 23 coming in to Creighton, plus their parents. It's usually hosted by a current family of a sophomore or junior, and at somebody's house usually. We get some current students from the area, and we have a great social time. We bring up those current students and talk about Give them a little question and answer about, you were in their shoes just, 9 months ago. What's your advice? The big questions, how do you, did you bunk your beds? Did you unbunk your beds? Did you need the printer? What kind of this, all that. What couldn't you live without, and what did you think you couldn't live without and should have left at home? So great little things. It's a great way to meet everybody. You will all be getting, well, just about everybody if you've got a send-off near you. You'll all be getting invitations in your mail from admissions, and so will the parents. So we'd love to see you out there. I'll be at most of them, and I'd love to, enjoy meeting you all. So here's the list: Sacramento, Seattle, Cedar Rapids, Portland, Milwaukee, Sioux City, Phoenix. Okay, for those of you from Chicago, I know it's not north and south. I'm a little directionally challenged. It'll be, I think, more west. So there'll be 2 in Chicago. I know the first one's in Wheaton, and I'm still working on getting a second site. I think it's north of there, but someone told me it was west, so I don't know. Twin Cities, Des Moines, Denver, St. Louis, Chicago, San Diego, Colorado Springs, Kansas City, and of course, Omaha. Any questions? I will be upstairs afterwards. I will give you one tidbit of advice that from the parents, current parents, the program is here to help you guys. We're not here to make you helicopter parents. We're here to make you butterfly, hummingbird parents. Come in, fly in, give nutrition to your students, fly away, and let them prosper on their own. The other tidbit I will give you is during move-in, make sure you get your roommate's cell phone number. Parents, get your child's roommate's cell phone number. You may want to see how things are going, or if you haven't heard from him in a while, give him a quick text. So that is it for me. We're going to do a couple closing remarks before we move, so just hang tight, okay?